Hello everyone and welcome back to my opinion. India have beaten the Netherlands by 160 runs and have won all 9 of their league games. I couldn't upload a preview for this game unfortunately, but I'll be reviewing this game in this video, and it's very good from an Indian point of view. They're continuing their momentum from the previous games. Once again, because of the festive season, there are fireworks going on outside, so apologies if that inconveniences you during this video, but I hope it doesn't. Regarding the 11s of both sides, starting off with India, they went in with unchanged 11 for this game, which I hoped they would do. Yes, South Africa won their last league game, but I don't know why they rested Marco Jansen and Tabraiz Shamsi especially when you've lost the previous game. You've got Tabraiz Shamsi who'd enjoy bowling in Ahmedabad and in the semi-final against Australia at the Eden Gardens. When he's given 72 runs in 10 overs in the previous game at the Eden Gardens, you'd think he's a vital player in the side. If I could get him back to kind of close to full confidence against Afghanistan going into the semi-finals, it would make more sense. What do? They rest Shamsi and Marco Jansen and they play Feflik, who yes scored a few boundaries towards the end, but he's not going to play in the semi-final. And yeah, I didn't understand and not playing Tabraiz Shamsi either. And amidst the talk of Bumrah maybe sitting this game out, I was happy that India went in with an unchanged 11. And for the Netherlands, there's only one change that I thought they could have made, and that is both Maxwell Dowd and Vikramjit Singh haven't had great tournaments, but they played Maxwell Dowd in the last few games. He hadn't done too much apart from the 142 that he scored. So if they wanted to give Vikramjit Singh an opportunity, it would have been justified. But apart from that, I didn't expect any other changes. And Rohit Sharma won the toss and chose to bat first, which was the correct decision. The Indian openers walked out to bat and did what they like to do. And I've said this a few times before, however, today I thought they were allowed to do that, where off the top of my head, Adi Indad had his first bad game of his tournament, where he dropped too short more often than not, gave a bit of width, and the opportunities were accepted by Rohit Sharma. On the seams, we've seen that their go-to option is to hit a length. I thought they bowled just a touch short of where they would have liked to have bowled generally today. And there are two aspects of their decision. First of all, Rohit Sharma and Shubman Gill are fantastic players of the pull shot and relatively short pitch bowling, so I didn't think this option would work. However, given that when batting during a day game in Bengaluru, where there can be a tinge of slowness to the surface like we saw today, I thought they were looking for the ball to hold up on the surface and maybe some steep bounce to follow. You saw 2 wickets fall because of this and a couple of half chances that arose, but if you're looking at the ratio of success to failure, the Netherlands lost all phases of this innings because outside of the wickets and the half chances, India got their runs far too easily. And considering the go-to method of this team is just to hit a length, and like I said, they bowled just a touch shorter than what they would have liked to bowl. Now to bowling at around 130 odd kph, low 130 odds, then I thought this wasn't going to be too difficult for India on the day. So it's just a case where, because it's their go-to option, and they went for it, and when that went wrong, they didn't really know what else to do, and it's just a case of experience. Rohit Sharma 61 of 54, and in my view, he's missed out on 7 centuries out of the first 9 league games. And had he followed the template that he had followed in 2019, where I think he struck at 68 in the first power play compared to 111 now, India would have still been unbeaten. That version of Rohit Sharma would have been an asset to India, and I think that in that tournament, a monumental effort, 5 centuries in the group stage. In this case, the thing, if you're factoring in the approach he's been taking and still you think he's missed out on getting at least 6 or 7 centuries this time, where apart from the dismissals against Australia and Sri Lanka, he's been getting out going for shots, looking to take the attack to the opposition, and averaging 50, striking at just over 120 with over 500 runs in 9 games. When you're looking to go with that approach, I think is fantastic. And with how the team has been going, with how he's been going, he deserves to be a winning captain of this competition. And Shubman Gill, his third 50 of his tournament, and it was nice to see him get runs under his belt as well. I thought the only element of challenge for India during this innings was started from the 9th over, where Rulifan was introduced. Like I'd said, when batting in Bengaluru during the day, there's a tinge of slowness on the surface, and Rulifan, with the nature of bowler that he is, you thought would be able to exploit that, and he did. Where when his side have given just over 400 runs in 50 overs, he went less than a run a ball and picked up a wicket as well in 10 overs, which is a fantastic effort. And I thought if you're going to introduce him then he should have bowled ahead of Colin Ackerman, who went for 25 runs in his 3 overs. And I thought you saw what happened against Afghanistan when India were playing, where during that chase, India were 75 without loss in 8 overs. And Afghanistan had a template where you've seen Rashid Khan has been brought onto bowl after the 15th over or so. But if they waited that long, then the game would have been gone well before then. What they should have done was brought on Rashid Khan within the power play. They didn't do that. They stuck to their template. They brought on Azmatullah Omarza, and you saw what happened. In this case, Rolla Fanamava should have bowled the 3 overs earlier on instead of, or the 2 overs earlier on instead of Colin Ackerman. And I'm not saying things would have been much different, but I think that challenge would have been posed earlier on than it was, when already 70 odd runs were scored in the first 8 overs. India had got off to such a rollicking start where all they had to do was play out Vanama's overs and target the rest, which they did. So I thought the Netherlands captain, who's been very good this tournament, missed a trick there. Rohit Sharma was dismissed with the bowling of Bust today for 61, where this is one of the few times that the hard lengths ploy worked. The ball held up in the service had touched, some steep bounce ensued, and that's how the wicket fell. A partnership ensued between Virat Kohli and Shreyas Iyer, where Virat Kohli, after bringing up his half century, he thought it would have been nice for him to get to his 50th ODI century in a ground where he's got a storied connection with based off his franchise. In a way, I was happy that he didn't bring up that milestone today, as in my view, we may see a more charged up version of Virat Kohli in the knockouts, which would bode well for India. So I'm happy he didn't bring out that milestone today, but it was a good innings while it lasted. And he had been disappointed with the way that he was dismissed. He tried to cut a delivery off Van der Merwe that was close to off stump, effectively on off stump. It flicked the bill and brought a premature end to a good innings. So a disappointing dismissal, but another well-played innings. He's been fantastic this tournament. And a mammoth partnership ensued between Shreyas Iyer and KL Rahul. Now on Shreyas Iyer, in the last 3 games, including this one, we've seen that he hasn't needed to walk out before the 12th over. And like I said, if he doesn't have to walk out before then, with the way in which he goes about things, he is a destructive match winner. We've seen that in the last few games. Well, you saw against South Africa, he switched gears, and you saw against Sri Lanka, and today, the destructive side of him was on show. And this is why I'm saying if you use him correctly, you saw the criticism that he was facing earlier on in the tournament where he wasn't used correctly. He walked out at 4-1. This has nothing to do with how he plays a short ball. I don't think he's that bad of a player of the short ball as people make him out to be. The reason why I said he shouldn't bat at 4 when India lose 2 early wickets is because of his freneticness against movement when the seamers move the ball around early on. And he hasn't had to deal with that in the last 3 innings, and you've seen the good of Shreyas Iyer. He was fantastic today, 128 off 94. And I expected this performance. And like I've said, India haven't faced this test in the last few games. And when they have faced that test, they haven't sent Shreyas Iyer out to bat at 4. And you've seen what's happened. If they face this test in the knockouts, I don't think they'll send Shreyas Iyer to bat at 5. Unfortunately, I think they'll send him out to bat at 4. And we may see what happened in the previous games happen then. But that wouldn't be his fault by any means, because if you assess the strengths and weaknesses of players, it's your responsibility to use them well. And if you don't use them well, then you can't blame the player to say they failed in that situation. So I think with what Shreyas Iyer has been doing now, the situations that he's been walking out to bat in the last, I think we've seen the good that he offers. And on KL Rahul, I've said before, I was looking forward to him exploding when he got the opportunity. And in this game, it's always a classy explosion when he explodes, and it certainly was a classy explosion today. I mean, I think he's probably the best player of the flick shots in the world. It certainly is the most aesthetically pleasing. And a century today where he missed out on a century against Australia, where he thoroughly deserved one, and today fantastic, 102 off 64. And both those two put on a mammoth partnership. KL Rahul, I think, in his home ground as well, Shreyas Iyer has got some connection to Bangalore. I think for him it's Kerala and Bangalore. So nice to see both of them go the way they did. And India got to 410 for 4 out of 50. The only thing I would have wanted more from this innings would have been, I thought if the top 5 get 50s, and if you've got maybe Suryakumar Yadav and especially Suryakumar Yadav to walk out when he has to unleash and bat for at least 40 deliveries or so. You saw against England where he scored a 49 or 47, a vital innings that gave India that breathing space to do what they did in the second innings. And you saw against Sri Lanka where he scored 12 of 9 and he got out prematurely. But in terms of an innings where we've seen that it's made for him to unleash, I thought if one of the top 5 scored less runs this innings, maybe one of the two Centurions, then Suryakumar Yadav may have got more deliveries to express himself, and that's one thing I wanted from this first innings. It didn't happen, but I'm happy the top 5 scored the runs that they did. From this point onwards, I'll be talking about the Netherlands' bowling effort combined with their batting effort in the second innings. So, Aryan Dutt 152 in his 7 overs, and like I said, his first bad game of this tournament. Logan van Beek, none for 107 and 10. He was hit for runs, especially towards the latter part of his quota. Colin Ackerman, none for 25 in his 3. Where I understand when bringing him on for his first over earlier on, maybe there's a thinking to say if he didn't go for too many runs in the first over, you can just continue bullying him for a bit. But considering the situation, I would have bought on Rulafan over then if I was going to bring another spinner on then, as you'd give yourself the best chance to be able to do more throughout the rest of the innings, because I think India were on 72 without loss after 8 overs, and bring on Rulafan over then when the partnership's already been set, the platform's already been set at a venue where, yes, there's a tinge of slowness on show when batting during the day, but it still is a batting friendly venue. You'd rather give yourself the best chance of bringing on Rulafan over earlier on. And Paul van Meekeren, 1 for 19, 10, busted, 2 for 82 and 10. With the 3 steamers I've mentioned, their go-to option is hitting a length. And unfortunately, when that option didn't go to plan, because of the lack of experience, they didn't have a second option to go to. And amidst all this, Rulafan over 153 and 10, containing the damage and dismissing Virat Kohli as well. And picking up 153 and 10 in a situation like this, his experience came to the fore today, and he's been bowling like this throughout the tournament. And on the Netherlands, like I said, it is just a lack of experience, not a lack of skill. The same Aryan Dutt kept Quinton de Kock quiet in Dharamshala, defending a 245 score, I think. So he's had a very good tournament, and it's just the case today where when you're bowling to the informed players that India have got on a surface where, yes, there's a tinge of slowness, but it generally is a batting-friendly venue. If you don't hit the correct lengths, you would struggle. Bowlers have their days where they don't hit their lengths, and you saw what happened. And like I said, for the seamers, especially bowling at the 135-kilometer mark, someone like a Paul van Meekeren, who's prospered hitting the length and on other surfaces, and you saw what happened today. And looking at this Netherlands attack, in the games that they've won or they've competed in, for example, against South Africa, Bangladesh, and even against Sri Lanka and Lucknow as well, the common thing is this bowling attack is primed for the type of bowling where you look to apply the squeeze on the opposition, where you control the run rate. But on a surface like this against a batting lineup that India has got, would you be able to apply that same methodology here? I don't think you would, and that's why an economical Aryan Dutt, a Paul van Meekeren has caused problems for other sides, bowling up front or hitting a length. You saw this wasn't the situation or the surface where they could have used that method, and because when you veer away from that, they didn't have too much of a backup option. You saw what happened. So this is purely a lack of experience. It's not a lack of skill. I think playing in Bangalore was not preferable. If they played in Lucknow, for example, India would have still won the game, but I think the bowlers would have preferred bowling in Lucknow or Eden Gardens rather than a Bangalore, which veers to be more friendly for the batsmen. On the second innings, I thought if the Netherlands got to 280 or 290 overall, it would have been a more satisfying performance. But I thought 2 things went well for them in seconds. First of all, after losing the early wicket of Wesley Baresi, a brisk partnership ensued between Maxwell Dowd and Colin Ackerman, where they got to 66 for 1 after 10. And the second of those being, yes, Sabrin Engelberg played well, 45 of 80, but I thought Tejan Nidaman Nodu 54 of 39. A few years back, he moved to New Zealand looking for a cricketing prospect. It didn't quite work out. Then he moved to, I think, Utrecht in the Netherlands, and has now gone full circle, facing his country of birth in a World Cup and scoring a 50. So very happy for him there. And he played an outstanding shot of Kuldeep Yadav for 6 over extra cover, where he gave himself a bit of room and lifted the ball over. So, a very good innings from him today. And looking at his record before this World Cup, averaging 36, striking at 98, you saw the innings he played against the West Indies, 111, where I thought he'd be their best batsman in this World Cup. He's not played a handful of games, and apart from this innings, he looked good against New Zealand earlier on, but apart from this inning, I think he played one other decent knock. But apart from those 3 attempts, things haven't gone as well for him, and I think they'd be expecting more from him on a consistent basis, as he does seem to be their best batsman in my view as far as the way he's going about things. You've got players such as Scott Edwards and Sibber Dangle-Brett who have played the grafter role very nicely, and because of them they've claimed vital wins. But I think Tejan Indamanuru is going to have to be the guy that grabs things by the scruff of the neck. And if he does do that consistently, then he has shown that before, averaging 36, striking at 98. I think there was good enough reason to expect him to be the best performer for them with a bat this tournament, but it hadn't happened for him, and it's good that he played the knock he did today. I think there are 2 points of improvement from a Netherlands point of view with the bat. Firstly, they found themselves 2 or 3 wickets down in most of the games, and a recovery act had to follow. And secondly, a few players, even in this game, got starts, and yet they couldn't build on that. It's easier said than done to build on these things, but if those 2 things are built on, especially in this tournament, things could have gone differently for them in a few games, especially in the Sri Lanka game. And I think looking at this lineup, you've got a mix of players who can graft as well as players that can score more briskly, where you've got Sibber and Engelbrecht and Scott Edwards who are prepared to do the grafting job. Scott Edwards can also score quickly as well. And you've got Colin Ackerman, the technically sound Colin Ackerman, who I think you can also back at number 3. And Max Allard can play that grafting role as well. Wesley Baresi likes to take the attack to the bowling more often than not. Buster Lady and Dylan Indaman like to do that as well. And Logan van Beek and Rolla van Over, while they fit into their side as frontline bowlers, you can also expect them to bat a few deliveries, and I think Van Beek scored a 50 against Sri Lanka as well. And Van Over added a cameo against South Africa. And when teams look to play bowlers who can bat rather than frontline bowlers, this team doesn't have that problem because the full team can bat. So there's quite some potential in the side. It's just a case where the experience, like I've said before, and when they get opportunities against teams like India, I think applying themselves and taking the outcomes from that would help them, and certainly this game will help the side. So, positives from this game, Rolla van Over showing his experience, Tejan Indamanuru playing the knock that he played, and I like I said, I think he has to take the mantle to be the best, or at least close to the best batsman in the side, given the record that he's got before this tournament. On the Indian bowlers, apart from Shami, everyone had a good day. Jasin Rana once again 2 for 33 in his 9 continues outstanding form. Mohammad Saad, after going for a few runs early on, 2 for 29 in his 6. Kuldeep Yadav and Ravindra Jadeja were outstanding, and I thought they were the reasons why India wrestled back control in the second innings after the power play. 2 for 41 in 10 and 2 for 49 in 9 respectively. It was good to see Virat Kohli get a wicket of the Netherlands captain, strangled down the leg side, 1 for 13 in his 3. India tried out a few other bowling options today, and if I was being critical, I would have liked Shreyas Iyer to bowl in this innings if they were going to try out those options. Yes, it was good seeing Gill and Suryakumar Yadav bowl, but Shreyas Iyer, I think the last time I saw him bowl was against Sri Lanka in the ODI. Virat Kohli scored an unbeaten 166, and he got the ball to turn square bowling leg spin. So, if you're looking to test out your bowling resources, bowling him would make more sense than bowling Gill and Suryakumar, where, yes, it's all good seeing them bowl, but because you've seen Shreyas Iyer bowl more, he's bowled in South Africa as well during that series when they toured South Africa in 2022. It would have made more sense to bowling here, but I don't think he's going to bowl as semi-final anyway, so they just did what they did. And Rohit Sharma got the wicket to wrap things up, and like I said, it was nice to see him getting that wicket, considering how he's been going with the bat and how he's led the side as well. So, great signs for India going to the knockouts. I'll be previewing the knockout game in a few days' time, so stay tuned for that. If you enjoyed the video, please like and subscribe, share it with your friends. Remember, this is my opinion. What's yours?